Hello to all you guys out there in YouTube land. Yes, it's me, DR. And so what am I vlogging about today? So slightly different topic actually, not a news story. I watched yesterday the debate again regarding Brexit between three members of the Leave discussion area opinion and three members of the Stay or Remain um, group opinion, whatever. And actually, when I watched this, I tried to go into it with as an open mind as possible. I've kind of my own bias in terms of what I think the UK should do, but at the same point, I tried to kind of go in there and think, and appreciate the kind of the dialogue and take it on face value. So I kind of got some observations. So for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'll try and put a link in the description about it. But for anyone who hasn't seen it, I'd recommend having a watch of it as much as you can. I think for me, I got about kind of 5 minutes in, and from the Leave side, all I heard was immigration, 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 and I thought I kind of it kind of lost me because of it, because it was just about immigration. Oh yeah, and £350 million per week. And I think the analogy was made when you ask someone, and for anyone who doesn't know, sorry about the rambling with this video. In gross terms, the UK contribute 350 million to the European Union per week in gross terms. And then the analogy was used: if someone asks you how much you earn, you don't tell them, you don't remove all the reductions that you have. But then for me, there's the difference between how much you earn and how much you have. That's a bit like saying to a company, don't tell me how much profits you made, tell me how much you spend. Of course, most companies spend an astronomical sum of money, but they make a lot of money back. It's a bit like when you got a movie and you say, well, how much did that cost? And they just give you that, and they don't tell you how much they earn back. Some movies, break even 5 billion times over. Some movies don't. But I just didn't understand that analogy. I get the point of Leave was to scare people with this money, but I think for me, I need to understand what do we get for that money, and it's not purely charity, but it's not purely profit. I kind of need to understand that, and I didn't really. I kind of got a bit of that from the Stay guys in terms of we get money back in terms of being able to It's all the hidden money we get back. So when we book a holiday, it's cheaper because we've got free movement and so on and so forth. Anyway, but my main point in this video, and I digressed for about 2 minutes, was to discuss my feelings about the discussion, what came out of it. And I don't want to say I was more confused. It just seemed like all the Leave guys had on their side were 2 points, and they kept reaffirming these 2 points. They kept saying it's all about immigration and controlling the borders and the fact that 100,000 people come in per year. And then I kind of didn't get anything else from them. It was like, well, what we'll do is we'll control our borders. We'll control our borders. We'll control our borders. And I wanted to hear something else. And Boris Johnson, who was one of the MPs on the Leave side, kept mentioning that if we left, wages would go up, but he never quantified this. I was really very confused. So I personally think that the Remain group held themselves slightly better, but not to say they were completely at fault. They spent a lot of time mudslinging about the fact that this current government haven't given any money into the UK's infrastructure, especially the NHS. That came out a lot. People were saying, well, what would be the impact on the NHS? I think also for me, the kind of questions were, yes, the questions we'd asked, but not kind of questions we really wanted to know the answers to. In my opinion, it was more, what Joe Public wants to know the answers to, but none of them had kind of far-reaching implications. There wasn't any about what would be the implications of leaving the EU for legislation, for public services, and for, it was more kind of like NHS. And I know NHS is a public service, but it's really specific. It was really what's going to impact this specific. Whereas what's the overall impact? What's the plan in terms of Leave? What's the plan in terms of Stay? What will be the difference? And the Leave accused the stay in terms of fear mongering, but the leave equally fear mongered by making the point that, and I think it was said by one of the people on the panel, that there were 550 million people that could potentially come over to the UK. I think the arguments have been quite asinine and quite basic. As if 550 million people, the entire population of Europe or the European Union, is going to decide to run over to the UK just because we're part of the European Union. It hasn't happened yet, and so I don't foresee it happening if we stay. Also, there was this kind of mention on the Leave side that it was once in a lifetime, then it was changed to once in a generation. Now, anyone who's been watching the affairs of Scotland and the UK understand that referendums can happen quite often, and people say, oh, this type of referendum, once in a... Well, it looks like Scotland are gearing up to have another referendum about stay and leave within my lifetime. So who's to say that we couldn't do that with Europe? It's quite weird that both sides are fear mongering, but in kind of, almost using the rhetoric of propaganda. This is you must. I don't. Anyway, that was kind of my opinion about it. Overall, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the back and forth. I enjoyed finally kind of hearing these arguments in a space rather than trying to piece it together yourself. But I don't know. I've come out of it worried about the fact that the Leave campaign are making it so simplistic. And I always find that in situations like this, it's quite complicated. That's why people are worried about the situation, because it is complicated. It's the unknown. But the Leave group are trying to make it very, very simple, very simplistic. The problem with the stay is that essentially what will change is very little if we stay in. That's the problem that they have with their arguments. What will change? Well, nothing. And it's trying to sell the advantages that we already have. Free trade, free movement in the EU, but also at the same point trying to justify the costs we pay in. Look, and for me, one of the things that the Leave, the Remain discussion is kind of not brought up, and maybe they should, is the fact that yes, we are giving a lot into Europe. But at the same point, we get things back. But surely, when you are, what we want is, I don't know, depending how socialist you are, is a society where the richer do give to the poorer, and I kind of like that. So potentially, we might be giving more in terms of financial, fiscal monies to the European Union, but not getting all of that back because we're part of the discussion and we're part of the table. I don't know. For me, that's a price I'm willing to pay personally, but that's not something I would kind of justify to you guys. Anyway, this has been a rather long video. I probably rambled my way half through it and made them some sort of semblance of some points throughout that. But anyway, you guys, write your comments in the description. Brexit's really quite complicated, and I think from the last video I made, it's one of those things that it's hard to get your head around. So yeah, got your comments down in the description. I want to make a more structured video around this. I think it's definitely something I need with a bit more research, and so it's something that was on the cards, but it might not come before the vote, but I'll see what I can do. Anyway, this is DR saying have a safe journey wherever you're heading. Peace out.